There are two things that need to happen in this video. First, we need to revisit one of the greatest speakers that I have ever had the pleasure of spending time with. And second, we need to discuss what happens when we pair those speakers with, this little guy. Ooh, the Enleum AMP-23R. Oh, mamma mia. It's difficult to say why this happened, and I would imagine that it probably has something to do with the after effects of COVID and supply chain demands, but the tweeter that was used in the Sapphire speakers is almost impossible to buy. Now, when I say almost impossible, I mean you can still buy them if you happen to have, I don't know, $50,000 lying around. I got my facts all wrong. That's not true. $50,000 is for the 1-inch corundum tweeter. For the 1 1/4, which is actually found in the Sapphires, it is $69,700. So I don't know what the big deal is. This unfortunate situation was pretty much the nail in the coffin for the Sapphires. But who knows? Hopefully things will turn around and that driver will be made available again at a reasonable price without having to buy a gazillion of them in batches. Now let's address this up front. While it's certainly not $50,000, this little amplifier over here is indeed quite expensive. And this video might deter a lot of folks solely based on the price. But I will tell you right now that if I happen to have an extra $6,000 lying around, or if I happen to stumble on $6,000, I would be extremely tempted to add this amplifier to my list of reference gear, especially when using it with relatively sensitive, full-range speakers like the Sapphires. Now, before we crack the door open and shine a light on this little amplifier, along with a long list of fantastic audiophile goodies, can be found in a place that you might not expect. No, I'm not talking about the fine folks at Safe and Sound this time. I'm actually pointing a finger at the one and only Audio Art Cable. I know, I mean, you didn't see that coming, did you? I mean, sure, Audio Art Cable does indeed offer a plethora of great cables for every budget, but check this out. They also offer amplifiers, DACs, turntables, headphones, music servers, and even speakers. That's right, folks. The days of AAC being just another cable company are long behind us, and they are now a one-stop shop for anything that your audiophile heart desires. So yeah, take a minute, bookmark Audio Art Cable, and a massive thanks to AAC for sponsoring today's show. So considering our recent discussion about another high-priced product in a different video that fell short in terms of aesthetics and build quality, our conversation about the Enleum AMP-23R will take a different turn. This amplifier undeniably exudes the appearance and tactile sensation of a technological masterpiece. Built like a tank, heavy and with sharp, clean lines, it's clear to anyone who gets their grubby hands on this amp that Enleum got the memo about audiophiles caring about how their gear not only sounds, but also looks. With an included remote that's just as attractive in its own right and hefty as well, the AMP-23 gave me a lasting impression that the folks at Enleum care about every aspect of this amp, and my goodness, it shows. Even the attenuation relay of the volume control is addictive to use because, well, I'm gonna show you. Everybody that has ever made an amplifier right now with their simple volume knob, they're just like, we are the worst. We're the worst designers in the world. And Enleum won. They made us look really dumb. Like we don't know what we're doing. It's like we had a box of crayons and we ate the crayons. The front panel layout is simple. On the right of the amp, you will find one button which serves the purpose of turning the amp on and off using a long press. With a short press, it's used for changing the inputs of the amp. Below the button, you will find a jack for headphone listening, and of course to the right of these, the coolest looking volume control ever made. Taking a look at the back, you will find an IEC inlet for power and a pair of RCA inputs labeled voltage 1 and 2. Why voltage? Heck if I know. I mean, those Enleum guys and gals are rule breakers, and you know what? I'm cool with it. Input? No, those aren't inputs, they're voltage. For speakers, you will find WBT 5-way binding posts, which are a fan favorite for many audiophiles, and those weird connectors on the back, those are for future products from Enleum, such as DACs, and I heard rumors of a phonostage as well, so that will be really cool. The AMP-23R is a zero negative feedback integrated amplifier that isn't strictly Class A or precisely Class AB. Enleum employs a proprietary algorithm and software to continuously monitor and adjust the transistor bias in real time, ensuring they operate like Class A amplifiers, but with a low bias current similar to Class AB amplifiers. This unique approach renders the amplifier both stable and efficient simultaneously. Now, getting to the point quickly, this amp to me sounds Class A in that it is indeed a warmer, more engaging sound. But the problem with tossing the word warm into the mix is it really doesn't quite do justice to this amplifier's unique sound signature. To my ears, the performance rendered by the 23R is about being smooth and refined where it needs to be, but also tosses in fireworks in all the right places at the exact same time. We're going to get more into this in the listening impressions, so hang tight. The AMP-23R is straightforward in design and purpose, focused on just two essential functions, and that's that. To put it simply, it's a no-frills integrated amplifier specifically crafted for driving any headphones on the planet while also being able to drive moderately sensitive speakers. That's right, folks. No built-in streaming, no integrated DAC, no digital inputs and outputs, no tone controls, and while it breaks my heart to say it, no subwoofer outputs either. Last, knowing it's mostly been chatted about in the realm of headphones, and yes, I'll be linking those reviews down below, I really wanted to focus my attention on this amp's abilities when driving speakers. In doing this, my hope is to draw a comparison between what's heard when tossing on a pair of cans versus sitting back and hearing things unfold with a pair of loudspeakers. While taking Dominic Fils-Aimé's latest album for a spin, lightning struck on track 3, Just Let Me Go, quickly reminding me that there are 3 things that I cannot stop talking about. Number 1, lowering the crossover point and allowing a driver to handle the majority of the mid-range bandwidth creates magic. Number 2, when an amp like the 23R brings forth the lit from within character typical of tubes without sacrificing detail and top-end harmonics, it is truly life-giving. And number 3, open baffle bass has permanently altered my perception of what constitutes excellent bass quality. Although this video primarily centers on the 23R and it's as close to a review as it's going to get, I can't help but shift my focus on system synergy. Matching the right amp with the right speaker is the bullseye that I'm aiming for today, and folks, this combo hits the bullseye. The Spatial Audio Sapphires are easy to drive, boasting 91 decibels at 4 ohms. With this little amp pushing around 45 watts at that rating, I have enough volume in the shed to blow Sarah's clothes off, knock down a wall or two, or even peel the paint off the ceiling if I wanted. And while this is a slight exaggeration, watts and volume is where we always get things wrong in the audiophile world, and this pairing proves just that. From top to bottom, there's nothing thin or weak about this combination. It's quite the opposite. Demonstrating the strength and composure of this amp, it's one of those rare amplifiers that only gets better as you turn up the volume. That is to say, I never heard it reach a point of compression or strain. It simply opens up even more. 45 watts are more than sufficient for driving lower 90s or upper 80 sensitive 4-ohm speakers in a medium to large room, and even at 8 ohms where the wattage drops to around 25, there's no need to panic. I've tested various speakers with this amp, and it handled each one admirably, even with authority. I don't dwell on those other offerings in this video because none of them can match the authority and bass that the Sapphires provide. Knowing that this amp lacks subwoofer outputs, I aim to create a one-and-done solution, and that's precisely what we have here. Now, one of the things I hinted at earlier in this video is how the 23R appears to strike a balance between warmth and fireworks. I want to delve a little bit deeper into this aspect and provide a more comprehensive analysis, rather than just simply labeling this as a warm amplifier. What I hear and what's truly happening go beyond mere warmth. Similar as to what I've heard in a lot of tube amplifiers, the 23R possesses a colored sound signature, and whatever palette it's using, I deeply admire and enjoy it. Recognizing that it introduces some distortion in second and third harmonics during bench testing, not my testing. Check out the other reviews, they go through all that stuff. I'm not smart enough to bench test even a rock. I'm not. Golden Sound, that's his job. It's like, I'm gonna tell you everything. I'm going to point at circuits and tell you exactly what they do. And I'm like, I feel like you're just making up words, Golden Sound. He's probably just making up words. It's evident to me that this amplifier won't fit the mold of a crystalline and pristine device that achieves perfection in every single measurement category. However, it excels at delivering precise and detailed leading edges for all mid-range notes to a degree that might even make you question your own perception. It reminds me of this heckler once telling Nelson Pass that his amp is full of distortion, and his reply was, "Yeah, I know, and it sounds beautiful." As we transition into mid-bass and bass frequencies, this is the only category where I would feel comfortable describing the amp's sonic signature as warm or round. However, if you're interested in adding more speed and resolution, there is a solution. Open baffle bass. That's right, folks. While it's possible that a box speaker might suffer from sounding overly rounded, warm, or possibly sluggish, that's not what I'm hearing at all with this amplifier when paired with the Sapphires. This combination delivers a textured and beautiful bass tone that also exhibits quick resolution without any bass overhang or unnecessary bloom. As I mentioned earlier, I don't consider this to be a perfectly clean or sterile amplifier, but the bass texture and tone it provides, especially with open baffle bass, is something that I'm going to remember for quite some time. Connecting the dots between many of the notes I gathered from headphone reviews about this amp and establishing a bridge to its performance when listening to speakers turned out to be quite straightforward. One reoccurring aspect that consistently stood out in the majority of those reviews was just how exceptional the mid-range sounds. The leading edges of anything centered in the mid-range stood out prominently, and the depth of the performance was notably impressive. I wholeheartedly concur with these observations. The mid-range manages to strike a perfect balance between sounding lush and providing intricate details simultaneously. It effortlessly reproduces nuances like breaths, subtle vocal details that often get unnoticed, and instrument harmonics that confidently occupy the middle of the audio spectrum. When combined with a deep and relaxed soundstage, the result is truly delightful. Now, if for any reason you purchase this amplifier and you find that it doesn't quite achieve the desired depth when listening to speakers, I recommend considering the use of our LOTS guide for speaker placement. In this video, I take the time to walk you through the process of creating the soundstage I pursue in every single speaker setup that I do, which is an authentic and believable soundstage. By positioning the speakers deeper into the room and following these guidelines, you'll have no trouble extracting reference quality staging from this amp. Now, if you choose to slam your speakers against the wall, well, you won't win anything. Nothing. No trophies, no hot dogs, no after-school snacks, and your parents will be very disappointed in you. So, please, don't do that. Well, folks, there you have it. Our journey with the Enleum AMP-23R has come to an end. This amplifier, though on the pricier side, proved its worth in every aspect of its sonic performance. Its build quality, resembling a technological masterpiece, leaves a lasting impression as well. The sonic experience delivered by the AMP-23R is a unique blend of warmth and excitement, defying easy categorization. It's not merely a warm amplifier, it offers a smooth and refined performance while injecting bursts of excitement in all the right places. When paired with open baffle speakers like the magnificent Sapphires, it truly shines. The mid-range in particular stands out with its lush yet detailed delivery, creating a deep and relaxed soundstage that is a treat for the eardrums. While it may not be the perfect fit for everyone due to its focused design and lack of certain features like built-in streaming or tone controls, for those who appreciate its singular capabilities, it's a gem for audiophiles who are searching for a tube-like sound without having to deal with tubes. And yes, this thing runs very hot, so good ventilation around the amp is a must. In summary, the Enleum AMP-23R is a standout amplifier that delivers a unique sonic experience. From my perspective, it's a worthwhile investment for those who seek a perfect pairing for speakers like the Sapphires. The key is finding a speaker that can play it all and also remains moderately sensitive. And with that, I'm headed back to listening. Right over there. I got myself a late night date with the Enleum AMP-23R and the Sapphires before this amplifier heads back home. I wonder if I can talk Sarah into selling one of the kids. I mean, with the right approach, maybe get her some flowers. Flowers will help. Hey, babe, I got you these flowers. Do we really need Elliot? I mean, he's the weirdo of the bunch. I think this is a foolproof plan. I don't see a downside in this conversation. I don't see this going any way but positive. In the